we've never done an interview before.
I know, that's so weird, right?
After all these years?
You,
I always just come up, give you the music.
Yeah, but you've done interviews.
Yeah. But I'm trying to be behind the scenes. I'm more comfortable with.
And then also, you've been around so long and you've had so many amazing experiences, and I'm sure people ask all the time.
That part?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Culture Lounge podcast from Asulin, a curated sonic experience that brings together artists, visionaries, and tastemakers in conversation from around the world. I'm your curator, Alex Asulin. Today, we're getting lost in the creative minds of music industry mavens Angie Martinez and young Guru. Angie Martinez is a Grammy-nominated artist, New York Times best-selling author, and one of the most influential radio personalities. After over 2 decades of work, she was inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame in 2020. Young Guru is one of hip-hop's most sought-after producers and engineers. He recently won a Grammy-award for his work on the Carter's Everything Is Love album. I can't wait to hear what they have to say. So, let's enter the Culture Lounge.
I don't even remember how me and Angie met. My original thing was like, I was the person that would bring the music to the radio station when someone had an exclusive. That was pretty much it. And most of the time, I didn't walk in the room. It was the artist coming to the station, and then I would hand them the stuff or hand it to somebody who was going to load it up for you or something like that. Then I would go back to baseline and listen on the radio to whatever was going on.
Because everything was live back then.
Yeah, or in the car. But it was just huge moments of just classic interviews.
I will say that time made a lot of great art.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was so much to be inspired by. You know, even the nightlife was insane and inspired lots of great art.
I knew where all the hip hop was. Yes. So then I could go mess with all these other cultures.
For sure. Because even the hip hop was mixed up with, if you went to Red Zone or Mars or any of those clubs, there was kids listening to all types of stuff. It was house music, it was gay, it was straight, it was black, it was white, it was Puerto Rican, it was like the city, like how the city was. Yeah. And then hip hop would live in these spaces also.
We take from all these different things, right? So you might hear something dope at another like sort of sphere that you bring into our world.
Yeah, for sure.
I come from a small town. I come from Wilmington, Delaware. I used to get mad at New Yorkers, and I'd be like, yo, how can y'all have all of this sitting here and y'all don't, my friends, I'd be like, y'all don't take advantage of it. Every record label is here. Everything, anything you want to do is in this. And when you don't have that and you come to it, I think you take advantage of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I can do whatever I want. And I had a big point to prove when I came to the city. So I was approaching it sort of like that. And it was just a wonder world of whatever you wanted to do.
What was your first session? Like, what were the first? Was it Jay? Jay wasn't your first artist,
No, definitely
right?
not. So I was in D.C. working with Chucky Thompson. God bless the dead.
Got it.
Chucky Thompson was the change in my life. Yeah. So he was the first one that would bring me to New York and be like, sit with Tony Maserati while I'm doing this thing and learn what he's doing. Sit with Joe Quindy and learn, what he knows or whatever. Chucky was the first one to bring me up here. Like, we do a Have Plenty soundtrack, and this kid walks in with an afro, and that's the first time I get to record Questlove. And it's just like all of these things started happening because Chuck was bringing me to the city. We were doing a bunch of stuff in D.C., but he was coming back and forth. But I had always been doing records with my crew. Tracy Lee was in my crew.
What was the Tracy Lee song? Wait, I used to love that song.
It's Party Time.
Oh, yeah, it's Party Time.
Yeah.
That was a great song. That was a great record.
Yeah. It was a thing of now I want to do it on this professional level. And we got to see it, like a crack of it in college. So that was my main thing. Like,
is there a moment when you like, I know I'm really good at this. I'm in my bag. This is my thing.
Probably in 96, if you remember Nonchalant, she had the song 5 o'clock in the morning. I was her DJ.
Got it.
So after we lucked up and got on the Fuji tour in 96, we opened up for them in Europe. Came home and I started working on her second album. It got shelved by MCA, but we made it. That's when I knew.
You got to think for female rappers.
Oh, my whole career.
Yeah, now that I never really realized that.
My whole career. Women have always
Nonchalant.
I was on the Fuji tour with Lauryn Hill. I have Rhapsody as an artist.
Rhapsody was your artist.
If you want to go to like, hey, Rod Digger is my people's, has recorded a bunch of stuff in my house. Like there's a lot of the female rapper thing there. Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, just like on some Forrest Gump of hip hop for a certain period of time, and then eventually to get to Jay, and that was like okay, I'm not going anywhere.
I'm gonna sit right here.
First time I met a well put together genius. Every other genius I had met, something else about them was off.
Got it.
Personality-wise or something, like it felt like the genius took away from some other aspect of life.
I've never heard somebody describe him like that. That's actually really brilliant.
Yeah.
A well put together genius.
Mm-hmm. Just a normal person.
It's interesting too. It's like fame is an interesting thing. It's like when you have that much of it and you're that talented, it's very hard to move around amongst mortals because there's always so much expectation. Anybody who operates at such a high level, I get why certain artists want to hide away. Because you're accountable for things, people expect certain things. And then how do you function normally under that type of glare? And I would say about Jay, especially, I can name a few people who have done really well under that glare, but he's does it exceptionally because it's the glare of what his career and his life has been. If he believes in it, he's not afraid to push something forward that he knows maybe people won't like if he believes it's the right thing. That sounds small. It's not small. Not small when there's so many eyeballs on everything that you do.
And they'll get it later. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
They'll get it later. It's his truth. And I'm going to tell you exactly where I am at the given point in my life. Almost to the point where he won't lie. And I'll be like, could you please just make up a story? Just make, you could make up a fabulous rap about, I don't know, Biggs, today's agenda. I got the suitcase up in the Century. I go to room 1. That didn't happen. But it's a beautiful Tarantino-ish story.
Yeah.
He won't do that. It has to have. So sometimes the drama just fuels the verses. It's just, he'll take whatever's going on and that fuels whatever. It's like you're giving him something to talk about.
Yeah.
It's where somebody draws their art from. So if you're painting, what do you draw from? If you're doing photography, what do you draw from? Which is why you need to live life in order to do good art.
Totally have to live life. Yeah. Especially if you plan on doing it for long, if you plan on having longevity, you can't just stay in that for your whole life. Where does the art go? I don't know. I mean, when you look at anybody who's had a really long career, there's a lot of life in there. There's a lot of life inserted in all of that. I don't know, I just thought of Usher because he just was in the city and looking at his career and everything he's done. And, there were relationships, there was heartbreak, there was some trauma. And
you have to deal with the fact that people... This is the curse of when you get an incredibly good piece of art. If you're an artist and you make something and it resonates with a bunch of people, right? They want to keep you in that thing.
Yes.
People want Mary J. Blige to make my life over and over and over. And it's like, I'm not sad no more. I'm in a great relationship now. But no, I fell in love with you off of this thing.
Know.
And it's just like, how old I was when I made that? My life was completely different. So many different artists deal with that. That's also a trapping of this is the thing that sold. This is the thing that resonate with people, but I'm not there anymore, right? People want Andre 3000 to do out. He's like, I'm trying to play a flute. It's just where I'm at.
I know.
You like it or don't like it.
That's a good thing. Right, whether you like it. It is a good thing. You have to evolve. You can't sit still. You can't sit and be the same thing.
It's tough. I used to think about it like that with music, right? So people would be like, what do you think about when you're making an album? And I'll be like, we just make music. And then once I get done and I got 20 songs, then I turn my head around and be like, what's the best way to sell this?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think about selling the album while we're in there making it. But I think people do now.
Oh, yeah. Because it's a business. It's a big business now. It's different. It's I always talk about that specific thing. Because it's interesting to me. Because you lose so much in art. If you go to write a book or create something and your sole motivation is money. Now, granted, sometimes something good could come, but most of the time you feel that. It does hurt, the result if that's how you jump into anything.
It's a famous quote from a photographer that I love because the photography is my thing that I hold pure. That's I want to do art that I don't sell, and not even play the art game. Where he said, I don't shoot to have clients. I have clients to shoot. You know what I mean? It's I approach it from the art, and yes, I need to live off of this, and I need clients, but I do my art.
It's way easier to do when you have a job.
Yeah.
When you have something that is, because I know there are starving artists out there that you have to eat. You have to, people, if this is what you do for a living, it is what you do for a living. So there is a certain amount of, I have to play the game that I'm in. So if I look at a young journalist coming in, I feel for her because they don't have that luxury. They trying to get in it. They got to get known. They got to get clicks. They got to get likes.
But isn't that part of what...
And it's the same thing with musicians.
Yeah, isn't that part of what built Angie, though? As I'm talking to you in third person, but one of the reasons that we love you or came to just trust your voice is because of the honesty.
But I had the luxury of that because there wasn't 100 people competing for the same spot that I had.
Gotcha.
And it's the same thing with music. It's like you think about artists, or especially in hip hop, right? Rappers coming in the game. Like, how do they cut through? How?
That's the problem. The noise.
By saying a dope metaphor? That used to be it.
Yeah.
Oh, you see the way he flipped those. I'm not saying bars don't matter anymore, but
it's tough.
You have to figure a way to cut through. And so when I say that about the integrity and all that stuff, it's like I also have a compassionate understanding for people who don't have the luxury of looking at it from that lens.
The times when we were coming out, it wasn't so many people. When I started, there were no young Black engineers, right? Like, I came to New York and was like, who's this Doro guy? You know what I mean? It was like,
were you guys like,
no, no, definitely not. I patterned myself after Doro.
Oh,
Doro was my, like, the only person that I could see and be like, I literally was like, who manages you?
He's a nice guy.
Oh, super nice guy.
Right. So that makes it easier.
Who manages you? And then I went and got with L'Oreal, and I was just like, okay, that's who's managing. He was the only young Black engineer that I knew that was doing major sessions. But again, like now, I got Rhapsody, I got Ruben, and it's just like, it's difficult. Rhapsody is really good at rhyming, but she's not sleeping with anyone famous. She doesn't get into fights.
She's unproblematic. Yeah. What is this? How do you cut through?
How do you cut through?
Yeah. It's funny, as I was having this conversation the other day about gatekeepers, right? And tastemakers and how that used to be. It is kind of a negative thing, but like when you have trusted people within the culture, there's a reason why they're there.
Yes.
I
didn't call them gatekeepers. I called it funnels. So I needed the funnel. Like, so if there's 1,000 things out there.
Yeah, who are the people that we trust to bring us the good music now?
I trust your taste. That's why I was like, somebody set up a taste for me. When I listened to your show, when I listened to other people's shows, there was a taste that was like, okay, I want to hear this thing. So I go here for that thing.
Angie really likes this new song. Let me listen a little closer. Or whoever the person is that you resonated to.
Exactly.
That you trusted.
Yeah.
It's very hard now. There's not much of that.
Also,
it's like machines and algorithms that do that for you now. But then there's also the cesspool of that everything is floating around in here at the same time. Who helps us to find the beauty?
Right.
How does the diamond not get flushed down the toilet with all the other stuff that's floating around? It's an interesting time.
Some of my students or people that I talk to, they're like, oh, I want to be you. I want to have your career. And I was like, it's 2024. It's impossible for you to have my career.
Yeah.
Right? All I can do is give you the information that I have, the wisdom that I have, and you apply that to what's going on now. But like, I existed at a time when they were record companies, and you would go and you would try to make hits, and I would get paid from a record company. And I never worked for the record company. So I had this ill position of like, Def Jam, I don't work for you. I work for him. You know what I mean? Sort of thing. But my check gets cut from there. Now it's like they're trying to have me design their life. And I'm like, well, you got to go find an artist and rock with that artist. Or you got to find a scene and figure out some way to get paid. Or you're not going to be making, I was making $1,000 a day at Baseline. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Back then, too, that was
a lot of money in 99 and 2000.
Yeah.
The learning how to engineer is just moving the chess pieces, right?
Yeah.
Like, but then to become a master chess player, you need strategy.
Ultimately, it starts with, are you good at what you do?
They skip that part.
A lot of people skip that part because they jump to like, how do I get popping? How do you get popping is cool. How do you get popping is temporary if you don't get into like, how do I have something significant to offer?
You just hit something for me, because my students that are super talented, they feel like, oh, the world should just recognize that I'm the most talented person in the world. And I'm like, it don't work like that. And then my students that aren't as talented, that need, like, you need to go home and practice the guitar first. They have mastered social media. They're up every day. They're posting. They're doing the songs. And I'm like, you still need to go home and practice the guitar. You're not good enough yet. That part is hard when they're just seeing this instant gratification. Or I guess when I was a kid, the MC would look at a Rakim and be like, I can't do that. I need to go get better and figure out how I can do. Now these kids are looking and they're like, I could do that. And they're just looking at whatever's going on, like, oh, it's just sing-songy and da-da-da, and let me do that. And I'm like, but is that you? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
That part is hard, because I don't think that the talent is really the premier thing anymore.
I know. That's why empowering kids or young people that really have talent.
Yeah.
Like really searching out who are the next, I don't know, Lauryn Hills and Jay-Z's and, the great ones.
It's tough because, one, like we said, there's a lot of noise. 2, I don't know if you have the time to develop them the way that we used to develop artists.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's where some effort should be.
And then 3, the money situation, where it's just we're looking at a music business, which I love, that is imploding on itself.
I know.
Right? So, which means that you have to, this the
as we speak, literally as we speak now. Yeah.
It's all build and destroy thing. So you have to break it all the way back down to build it back up.
Yeah.
Because now it's like the record companies themselves are not making money because people lost sight of the fact that we don't sell a product anymore. Right? We literally make our music and give it to a computer company, and people pay for access to a server, basically, to stream it. That's the business now.
I know.
If I put out a Memphis Bleak album and I did 300,000 in 1 week, which Rockefeller was guaranteeing we was doing 300, that's $3 million that just came into this building in 1 week. It was very easy to track. Now I know where I'm at. If it's Jay, I know it's going to be $20 million in 1 week. Like that sort of thing.
Now what?
Where does the money come from? Yeah. So we start to see the consolidation of all of these record labels, and the old school people who have been there for years are like, okay, I'm out, I'm done. This thing is like, I don't even understand this animal anymore. And the younger kids are like, okay, well, how do I make my money in this thing? And I'm like, bro, you're never going to, it's not going to be the way that we did it. You're going to have to figure something else out, or you're going to have to go direct to consumer.
Yeah.
And that's it. You got to build up your fan base enough that you can do that.
So what cuts through that makes you excited? Like, so what restores the feeling? Like, is there artists? Is there music? Because every now and then things cut through and you're like, oh, this is real. This is great.
The girl that used to be in Alabama Shakes, Brittany Howard, her last album just floored me. Like, floored me. She's so personal. The musicianship is incredible. The way it's mixed, everything about that is perfect. There's a young girl from London.
It's funny how you listen to the mix.
Oh, always.
You're listening to the mix.
I had a lot of conversation with people where I'm like, I had to train myself to unlearn and to listen as a listener again.
Yeah.
Because I found myself like in the club, like, why does the snare sound like? And I'm like, yo, you're supposed to be enjoying yourself. Like, it's hard to listen as the listener now.
Yeah, but I get that. I just did, like I told you, I've been working on this documentary, and I have some scripts that I've been working on. So I've been shadowing some directors that have been great to me. Like, I've just been learning a lot about filmmaking, right? Like the past couple of years, this is something I've been jumping into. So now when I watch movies, I'm like, oh, stop looking at the shot. Just watch what's what he's saying. Like, sometimes it does get into it's the same thing with music. You're creating music and you're like, stop listening to the mix. What am I feeling? What is happening to my soul, my spirit?
It's a hard thing to take that away, because at the end of the day, you're trying to service an audience. And I preach that to the kids all the time. Like, you're an engineer. The audience has no clue if it's mixed on a Neve, a SSL, or AP. We just heard the song and we liked it or we didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's like clothes. Like, I don't know fashion like that in terms of like making clothes, right? I just walk in somewhere, oh, I like this, I purchase it. I'm the consumer. Like, you have to think about music, or I do that with movies too, because then when I got into my photography, I start looking at shots and angles, and then me and James will have these long, I'm like, how did they get the mirror shot without the camera being in the mirror? Like,
that's good. I know exactly what you're talking about there, yeah.
It's all of those questions, so then I stopped doing it. I'm like, I gotta watch the movie for the movie.
Yeah.
So it happens because you're so involved with now creating something, or that's a new challenge for you. So it's like the learning part is what, to me, is what excites me about when there's something I don't know and I got to learn it.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's so frustrating and so much fun. Because also I like to be good at things.
Do you think it's because, like, I have this theory too, right? There's a famous Langston Hughes poem that says, what happens to a dream deferred, right? So that's like people who never reach their potential. I want to write this poem called What Happens to a Dream Achieved. So like at a certain point in my life, I was like, I need a new challenge.
Always.
And that's why I picked up the camera. My whole life has been listening and auditory.
And then when you find another thing like that, doesn't it help you go back to your original thing? Like when you go back to do music or mix or whatever you're doing, like it just, I don't know, it just awakens the senses of discovery when you find things that, so no matter what you do, people are like, oh my God, you've been on the radio so long. I'm like, I have, but I've evolved in many ways throughout the years. Because if I was just sitting in one place doing one thing, there's no way I would last, or I would have even been happy or anything like that. You have to, you have to do a book, or I have to do this, or I have to learn a new thing, and so that I can then still do this thing while I'm evolving in so many other ways.
Yeah, my father used to watch me play basketball in high school, right? So if I played against a team that was just mediocre, I wouldn't play good, because there was no challenge. And then if I played against like the biggest stars in the neighborhood, I'm killing them because I'm up for the game. And he used to be like, you got to get up for every game. You know what I mean? Sort of thing. But it was always with me, it has to be some sort of challenge or a way of excitement or something like that.
Yeah. That's the beauty of life, right? Every day you're supposed to grow. You're supposed to learn. Supposed to look around, be amazed at some magic that you didn't know existed.
Yeah,
because if we have all the keys and if we know everything, what the hell are we still doing here? What do we go to sleep? Get out of here. You're done.
So, and you've done so much. What's next for you? What's the next thing?
Oh man, I've been telling people I want to direct, which I'm directing this documentary now, and I'm directing a short right after that. I'm going to do that and then see where the evolution goes from there.
What drew you to it?
I know,
what made you say
because it's really
filmmaking?
storytelling.
Gotcha.
Because it's all about storytelling. So shouldn't be weird to people that I would kind of be shifting a little bit into this. You know, sometimes when you don't have the experience to do something, you think something is off limits for you. But writing my book and it being received the way it was gave me a lot of confidence with writing. Gotcha. So during COVID, I did a lot of writing. I finished a script then. I just got in my bag with writing, and then from there, it's how do I give this story to the world. And then do I trust anybody else's vision fully of it? No, I better direct it myself. Right. That's kind of how it happens. Right. So who knows? I've just been feeding myself all of the information I know to be the best storyteller in that space that I can be. Gotcha. And so that I think will be the next phase, I think. I'm very open to the universe and where it kind of goes. How
beautiful is it that we live in this time now, right? Where you could like sit on your computer and see all of this stuff, like not have to go to the library, like there's probably YouTube.
Information is everywhere. Oof. You just have to find the motivation and the why, because you can do anything.
Yeah, that's probably my next step. Not probably, it is my next step. I want to break that thing of those who do can, those who can't teach. And it's just like, I want to be able to do and teach at the same time. And that's the thing. What are you passing down? What's the legacy? There's sort of a like OG status that you have, right? That people love that you rock your crown right. And they respect you for that. It's like, that's my thing. It's like bringing up this next generation makes you even more of an OG. I trained this person and introduced them to this.
Oh, that's the best thing, yeah.
Oh man, to see that light bulb go off in an 18, 19-year-old mind and just, they get it. And you got to pass it on.
And you got to have fun still.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You got to stay learning and you got to have fun.
That's the biggest part. That was the purpose. Like, you made a decision and said, okay, I'm not going to be in a cubicle all day, right? That was my only thing. I'm like, I'm not going in a cubicle and I don't want to have to wear a shirt and tie. I went to a school where I had to wear a shirt and tie every day in high school. I was like, I don't want to have to wear a shirt and tie at work. And that was why I was like, all right, this is, as long as it don't have that, I'm good. So it was just fun to me. It was no pressure. It was no nothing. It was fun.
Well, thank you for today. This was fun.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Culture Lounge. If you want to dive deeper into the world of music, Asulin has many books to guide your way, like the Book of Hove and Maria by Callas. I'll leave you with a fun bit of trivia I learned from the Book of Hove. Did you know that Jay-Z made history as the first rapper to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility? At the 2021 ceremony, he not only celebrated his groundbreaking contributions to hip-hop, but also challenged the notion of rock and roll, proclaiming, "Rap is the new rock." His induction marked a pivotal moment, recognizing rap's profound impact on music and culture, and cementing his role in bridging the gap between genres. To learn more about the intersection of culture and luxury, head to asulin.com. À bientôt!